river flowing from the heart of Africa into the Indian Ocean. Its basin spans as much as 1.39 million square kilometers, stretching across 8 countries. Zambezi River. This river rises from an elevation of over 1,500 meters, journeying through 3 majestic waterfalls and 2 vast man-made lakes before reaching the sea. Before we follow the river's flow, let us know in the comments which animal you're most excited to see. We're thrilled to connect with you. Now, let's get started. Zambezi journey. Crossing the waters of peril. One early morning, as the first rays of sunlight peeked through a silvery mist, the surface of the Zambezi River lay almost still. But just beneath that calm, a Nile crocodile over 5 meters long silently slid along the water's edge. A group of hippopotamuses soaked in the mud with only their ears and eyes peeking above the surface. High above, an African fish eagle swooped down, talons gripping a thrashing tilapia, then quietly soared away, leaving behind a gentle ripple across the water. Not far from there, a herd of nearly 200 Cape buffalo made their way to the riverbank, each step cautious, knowing that any misstep could come at a price. A lioness hid within the thick brush, her amber eyes like 2 pieces of polished stone tracking the stragglers at the herd's edge. Beneath the never-ending thunder of Victoria Falls, the Zambezi keeps flowing. A quiet lifeline where the rhythms of life and the nearness of peril meet every single day without pause. No river in southern Africa is as grand and intricate as the Zambezi, a vital waterway that flows across 6 countries and empties directly into the Indian Ocean. Stretching approximately 2,574 kilometers, the Zambezi is the 4th longest river in Africa, with its mouth facing the southeast. Its basin covers an area of up to 1,390,000 square kilometers, beginning in the highlands of northwestern Zambia, passing through Angola, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique, and extending into parts of Malawi and Tanzania. The Zambezi's waters originate at an elevation of 1,524 meters in the vast Dambo wetlands of Mwinilunga, where small streams flow over ancient bedrock shaped hundreds of millions of years ago. The current begins quietly, but the farther it travels, the more powerful and unpredictable it becomes. From the flooded plains of Barotse, where the sky and land seem to blur like watercolor on glass, to thundering rapids and deep gorges, the Zambezi has carved its path into the landscape and geological history of an entire continent. It is this combination of length, gradient, geological structure, and cross-border flow that makes the Zambezi one of the most complex and influential river systems in Africa, geographically, ecologically, and hydrologically. The climate around the Zambezi River basin is subtropical, with 2 distinct seasons. The rainy season stretches from November to April, while the dry season takes up the rest of the year. The landscape here shifts dramatically along different stretches of the river, from the vast wetlands of Barotse to the narrow gorges of Batoka, then expanding into massive artificial lakes like Kariba and Cahora Bassa, the 2 largest reservoirs in Africa. The river's biodiversity reflects this changing topography. Upstream of Victoria Falls, up to 84 fish species have been recorded, while downstream hosts only 39 species, a clear difference shaped by the river's flow and the slope of the terrain. The Zambezi River Basin is a natural home to a dense network of national parks and wildlife reserves spanning several countries. From the upper reaches in Zambia, through the hills and plains of Zimbabwe and Mozambique, to the lower stretches near the Indian Ocean, its ecosystems are protected by dozens of areas recognized for their international importance. Places like Mana Pools, Lower Zambezi, South Luangwa, Kafue and Gorongosa are not only celebrated for their scenery, but also serve as genetic reservoirs, safeguarding thousands of unique and rare species. As it leaves the Lunda Plateau in Mwinilunga, the Zambezi begins a journey of about 1,000 kilometers through the upper reaches, a wide expanse stretching across Zambia, Angola, Namibia and Botswana, ending at Victoria Falls. The terrain here is diverse, blending Mayombo woodlands, seasonally flooded grasslands, and a web of seasonal channels, creating the distinctive landscape of Africa's riverhead region. Starting at an elevation of around 1,524 meters, the water weaves through Dambo, shallow, rain-fed wetlands before converging into the main river channel. The rainy season from November to April floods the entire region, especially the Barotse floodplain, which stretches 240 kilometers and can widen to 35 kilometers, covering over 7,500 square kilometers at peak flood. A 2025 study found that more than 98% of the river's flow in this section comes from Zambia and Angola, highlighting the upper basin's key role in regulating the Zambezi's water system. In the Mayombo woodlands and seasonally flooded grasslands, where water flows shift with the seasons, the sable antelope lives and moves as an inseparable part of the ecosystem. They are far from alone. At elevations averaging between 1,100 and 1,400 meters, in a world where mud and reeds take turns dominating the landscape, they stand as a symbol of adaptability and resilience. Their presence is not only a vital part of the wildlife community in the upper Zambezi Basin, but also a vivid testament to the strength of biological strategy shaped over thousands of generations. One of their most striking features is the crescent-shaped horns, which can reach up to 1.65 meters in males. These aren't just for show. In reality, these horns are powerful tools used to fend off predators such as lion and spotted hyena, and even rivals within their own species. In their world, social structure plays a central role. Matrilineal herds typically include between 10 and 30 individuals led by a dominant male. He controls a territory ranging from 25 to 40 hectares, often marking it with scent or droppings to signal his presence. Other males, without herds of their own, gather in bachelor groups and sometimes roam for many kilometers in search of a chance to rise to dominance. During the breeding season, females carry their young for about 8 to 9 months before giving birth to a single calf, which they hide in thick brush for the first few weeks of life to keep it safe from predators. Today, the sable antelope remains widely distributed across eastern and southern Africa. Data from the International Union for Conservation of Nature, as of mid-2025, shows the overall wild population remains relatively stable, with around 75,000 individuals. However, certain subspecies, like the giant sable in Angola, are still critically endangered, with only about 185 individuals in Luando and 120 in Kangandala. Sable antelope favor areas that offer both grass cover and sparse trees, especially near water sources. Places like Dambo, temporary rain-fed wetlands, and the banks of the Zambezi River make ideal stopovers. Alongside the sable antelope, another giant roams in search of water. Beneath the skies of the Zambezi's upper reaches, where the waters from Angola, Zambia, Namibia, and Botswana converge, herds of African bush elephants are more than just colossal creatures surviving in the wild. They are living memory, inheritors of a biological instinct shaped over millennia, nourished by deep memory and sacred bonds of community. Towering in size, adult male elephants can stand up to 3.3 meters at the shoulder, reach lengths of 7.5 meters, and weigh over 6 tons. Their massive ears, spread wide like maps of the African continent, help regulate body temperature by dispersing heat through a dense network of blood vessels. Their long, outward curving tusks, grown over decades, serve as versatile tools, digging dry wells in search of water, prying up tree roots, or stripping bark from aging trunks. Meanwhile, the trunk, a fusion of nose and upper lip, is a marvel of function, capable of plucking a single fruit, comforting a calf, or drawing in dozens of liters of water in a single breath. But it's not size alone that allows elephants to thrive in this ever-changing landscape. Their greatest strength lies in memory, etched into their DNA and passed from one generation to the next by matriarchs, the oldest and most experienced females leading the herds. These leaders don't just know the paths to distant feeding grounds or hidden forest pools, they remember dangers from the past, lands once swallowed by floods, places where lions lurked, or vital mineral springs when the dry season hits hardest. A herd in the upper Zambezi can range from 8 to over 30 individuals, all females and their young, related by blood. They move as a single deliberate unit. Each adult consumes roughly 150 kilograms of vegetation and nearly 230 liters of water per day, meaning the entire herd requires a staggering amount of resources. When males reach maturity, around 12 to 15 years old, they leave the herd. They live alone or form temporary bachelor groups. This nomadic life isn't just about seeking mates. It's a rite of passage, learning to survive without the shelter of the maternal herd. During this time, young bulls learn how to use their tusks for protection, find water independently, and adjust their behavior to different territories. As for migration, African elephants don't follow a rigid calendar. They move with flexibility, what scientists call facultative partial migration, guided by rainfall patterns, soil moisture, water availability, and vegetation density. In harsh, dry seasons, herds may travel hundreds of kilometers to find new water sources. When the rains return, they often journey back to familiar lands, where soft mud blooms and grasses regenerate. Through all of this, elephants don't fight like predators, but they protect their herd with sheer mass, collective strength, and striking coordination.